Sulphur, why are you sticking your tongue out? Why are you sticking your tongue out? That's goofy. Well, what's up, guys? It's Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and I don't know that I've shown you guys this, but DJ decided the other day to move all of her donkeys into the pasture behind the house. I know she's talked about it on her video, but there's not that there's a whole lot more grass back here, but there's a little bit. Once you get over the hill, it kind of drops off. It is kind of green back there in the bottom, but anyways, we have somebody back on the farm. There's Freedom. Freedom's hanging out with Fallon. You know, we took Freedom to a friend's to get, you know, what Lester from I'm a Survivor Sanctuary would call band camp, I guess you'd say. She went to visit her boyfriend named Brandon, a spotted little jack donkey. But she's home. She was there, what, probably close to 2 months. And we're hoping that Freedom will be pregnant. If she is, it's going to be a long journey because I think donkeys are, their gestation period's a long time. Let's just say that. But everybody else is doing good. It's really feeling like fall lately. In the mornings, we're having temperatures in the 50s. It's amazing. Look at this. Are you hiding behind the tree? Oh. Fancy's bringing that big old belly out. Everyone else is doing good out here, adjusting to life in the new pasture. We got little baby Jessie there, and baby Jay's over here taking a nap. Just one of those days, I guess. But anyways, just wanted to show you guys that and let you guys know that Freedom is back home and blending in with the rest of the herd. I think she must have missed Fallon. She's been hanging out pretty close to Fallon since we brought him back today. But Steve, on the other hand, he's still upset with us because he didn't get to hang out with the girls. So the other day, I told you guys that I kind of showed you just a glimpse of a new tractor implement I received last week. Something we've been waiting on since I was at the National Farm and Machinery Show back in February, and it's finally here. So check this thing out. This is called the Mini Clip from a company called Precision Manufacturing. Back in February, before I went to the National Farm and Machinery Show, Dusty, my brother-in-law from Cross Timbers Bison, said, "Hey, while you're out there, keep your eye out for something that I can use to clear out my fence lines, to be able to get trees." He has his new place, the Ponderosa, where all of his bison are, or a lot of his bison are, has old fences, and some of them are in pretty bad shape, but some of them are in decent shape. And he wants to be able to salvage some of those fences, needed something to basically cut all the cedar trees and brush and everything out of the fence line. So while I was out there, I found a tree puller that goes on a skid steer. Just so happens Dusty owns a skid steer. But they also have this, the same company makes this mini clip. Now I've seen a few videos with this. Tony from Tony's Tractor Adventure is probably the first guy I ever saw use one of these, and I was pretty blown away because, as you can see, we kind of live in the timber. We live in the woods, and trimming trees becomes a full-time job. And using a pole saw works great, but it's slow. And when you've got a big cab tractor, it only makes sense to have an implement to go on there to reach up and be able to trim trees, trim limbs, and get more work done in less time. So let me show you this thing. So basically what we have is a huge shear, and the jaws will open up and cut up to a 7-inch limb. You can either cut limbs, you know, up in the air, or you can come in at the base of a tree and just clip it off at the ground. I don't have a lot of seat time operating this thing yet, maybe 30 minutes just testing it out, but it'll cut up to a 7-inch diameter tree. Now, one thing about this thing, it is pretty heavy. It takes a pretty good sized tractor to operate. It'd be really good on the front of a skid steer. It is a hydraulic shear here, but it also has a second hydraulic system set up on it with a key fob remote, basically so that you can rotate this any direction. It'll do almost a 180 degree circle. It'll go 180 easily, but you can extend it. You pull this pin right here, it'll extend out basically double the length. I haven't extended it out just yet. We're gonna get used to using it the way it is first, and you kind of have to be pretty careful with it. I did add fluid to my rear tires for extra counterweight balance, and I left my my brush hog on here just for extra weight, because you got to think, well, if you reach out and clip a limb that's 15 feet up in the air, that's a lot of height, that's a lot of weight off the front of a tractor. So I think I'm gonna get it greased up real quick, and I'll snip off a few limbs and show you guys how this thing works. While I grabbed that, I did mention that I was looking for a tree puller for Dusty for his fence lines and stuff, and the Precision Manufacturing had a really cool tree puller. I'd used one very similar from a company called Dan User on a skid steer here. Basically, it's like it's not really a shear. It's got teeth on it. You grab a hold of the bottom of a tree and you just pluck it out of the ground. I'll get Dusty to send me some clips of that thing. And they also hooked him up with a grapple for the front of his skid steer, so he can come along, pull all those trees out of his fence line, come back and pick them up. You're welcome, Dusty. I hooked Dusty up, so I'm hoping he'll let me borrow that skid steer and the tree puller, and we can take it over to the Mill Creek property and do some cedar cleanup over there. Those things work phenomenally, and just from the way that one looked back in February when I was there, it's pretty well built. So if I didn't say earlier, we are going to be using the TYM T574. It's a 55 horsepower cab tractor with air conditioning and heat, you know. But in all seriousness, it takes a decent sized tractor with some counterweight balance just for safety's sake. So let's get started. that's how this precision manufacturing mini clip works. Now, I will say this one thing: you see me picking up limbs and moving them and stacking them and stuff, probably not recommended by the manufacturer if I had to guess. But I have a grapple that goes on the front of my tractor, so you could come along, trim limbs for 2 hours, and then come back with the grapple and pick everything up. One cool thing that you can do though is, even after you cut a limb down, you can cut it into pieces and make it easier to haul off. Out here in this open field, it's not too big a deal, but in the timber, you wouldn't be able to drag those big long limbs around. And you know, you can extend this thing out, like I said, to, I believe it's 8 feet. I'm still new to it. This is the first time I've actually operated this machine, so I'm trying to learn how much stability my tractor has operating this thing. I will say this would work tremendously, amazingly awesome on a skid steer. It works great on the tractor, don't get me wrong, but there's some visibility limitations. As you can imagine, you're trying to get a limb in this little slot right here, and there's a lot of visibility issues, where with a skid steer, you're sitting at the very front of the machine, so your vision is going to be from about here versus way back there and having all that tractor in between. So on a skid steer, you're looking at basically just looking through this. You can see things a lot closer. You're also going to have that tree a lot closer, that limb a lot closer to the center of gravity of your machine. Now, does it work on the tractor? Absolutely. It works great, but I really would want to try it out on a skid steer. I think you could probably feel a little bit safer on a skid steer, having that center of gravity closer to you, and your visibility is just going to be so much better. But trimming limbs up higher, like, it works great. You can see the visibility is not an issue there, but when you're working down on the ground trying to trim, if you just want to come in and clip a tree off at the ground, it does get a little bit difficult to see them. And I know some of you aren't going to like this. You can see this is a limb that I cut off. I really probably need to come back with a chainsaw at some point and flush cut this smooth, because the way it's chewed up at the top right now, that's going to cause a lot of rot in this pecan tree. But it was just a little bit bigger limb than what I thought it was when I tried to cut it earlier, and it cut it off, don't get me wrong, but it is too big down here for this machine. So we need to come back and address that later on. Kind of like that big knot there. You can see what happened there. That tree limb got cut off at some point and it started to rot. Got a hole in the center. Some people call that a squirrel urinal. Just saying. But the thing about pecan trees is, and this is mostly pecan trees in this field, is over time they tend to weep. The limbs all start to hang down, and then you start running into issues with your tractor, running into it, and you know, I don't want to knock the windows out of my tractor and all that stuff. So this is going to be an awesome time saver for just trimming up general roads and trails and things on my property. I can see this being a huge asset. Man, if you had a small, just not a small tractor, but a small business doing tractor work and stuff, this thing, you could make a lot of money with this, trimming trees for people and doing things. It is a big ticket item. It's not inexpensive by any means, but in the right application, this could be a money-making machine for sure. And one of the plans that I have for this thing is to pair it with my wood chipper. I don't know, some of you guys may remember we got a wood chipper, a 3-point hitch wood chipper to go on the back of our tractor this past spring. I've kind of waited. I didn't want to trim a bunch of trees during the summer and chip a bunch of limbs while it was 110 degrees. So it's kind of a wintertime project for me, but I think having this this mini clip will cut a limb up to 7 inches. My wood chipper is rated for 8 inches. So I could see coming on, trimming up a bunch of trees, and then being able to chip them all up and get rid of them, and you don't have these big brush piles laying around everywhere. So that's one of my plans, one of my projects for the winter. But I'm telling you what, I've trimmed the trees in this field since I was probably in junior high with a pole saw. And that gets old over time, because about every 2 or 3 years you have to come in and limb them up, or you can't mow around them. Anyways, so Precision Manufacturing mini clip. I will leave a link in the description box. They are offering you guys 5% off if you're looking to purchase one of these. I'll put the website on the screen. 5% off coupon if you're looking to purchase one. It does require, like I said, a pretty decent sized tractor. I think you got to have 2,500 psi on your hydraulics to be able to run it. And anyways, I look forward to using this thing a lot this winter. So guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys have a great day. And as always, we'll see you on the next video.